Welcome and good morning to our participants. I would still give it 1 minute before we go into the presentation, just to give people the chance to join the meeting still. But I could start with the introduction that today our presenter is Khairiya Masoud from University of Turku. She is a PhD researcher and an expert on geoinformatics. So, welcome, Khairiya.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to this webinar. My name is Khairiya Masoud. I'm a member of Resilience Academy and a doctoral researcher at the University of Turku. Today, I will introduce you to the climate risk database and guide you step by step through the process of creating a thematic map using CRD. This is our second webinar, and we invite you to join us for the upcoming sessions. But before begin, just a couple of quick notes. Please feel free to ask questions at any time using the chat panel. I will collect them and answer them at the end of the session. Also, this webinar is being recorded, and the recording will be shared with you afterwards, together with the slides and any relevant links. In this webinar, I will start with a short introduction in which I'll explain what climate risk database, the CRD, is, and I will also introduce CRD thematic maps and explain how they are used. Then I will move on to a live demonstration, and in this part, I will show you how to create thematic maps step by step. And by the end of the session, you will have a clear understanding of the CRD and the practical skills to start creating your own thematic maps. But before starting the session of this webinar, let me briefly recap the Resilience Academy, which was discussed in the previous webinar. The Resilience Academy aims to equip young people with the tools, knowledge, and skills to address the world's most pressing urban challenges and ensure resilient urban development. Resilience Academy began as an initiative of Tanzania Urban Resilience Program, a partnership between the government of Tanzania and the World Bank. It now has an MOU partnership between Tanzania government, including Tanzania ICT commissions, and 4 academic institutions in Tanzania, including Ardhi University, University of Dar es Salaam, State University of Zanzibar, and Sokoine University of Agriculture, along with the University of Turku in Finland, with other members and with the other member partners and organizations. Resilience Academy has 4 key service components that work together to create an impact on society. And the first one is digital geospatial data platform, which provide open access to spatial data to support research and better decision making. The climate risk database, the CRD, is one of the platforms. The second one is data co-production and student engagement. And this is about collaboration. Students, communities, and industry partners work together to collect and improve data, ensuring it reflects real-world needs. The other one is online learning resources, which offer hands-on training and digital skills integrated into universities' learning services. And the last one is research and innovation through living labs. These are the real-life testing environments where new tools, ideas, and solutions are developed and applied in practice. So together, these four services form a connected ecosystem, linking data, people, learning, and innovation to build the resilience and create real-world impacts. So, what is climate risk database? This is act as a catalyst for resilient urban development in Tanzania by supporting better planning and decision making. It is a digital geospatial platform that brings together different types of data, including hazard, exposure, and vulnerability data, all in one place and ready to use. And the platform is open and support research, education, and disaster risk management. And on the right, you can see the scale of the CRD. It currently includes 290 datasets, 41 thematic maps, and over 700 users. So this makes the CRD a powerful and growing resource for understanding and addressing climate risk. Now let's come to a thematic map. And what is it? This is a type of map designed to show a specific theme or pattern rather than just general geography. For example, the map on the left side highlights a specific theme, and in this case, a proposed natural drainage and wetland areas within Mwanza city. So this is what makes a thematic map, because it focuses on one particular topic while still providing geographic context such as ward boundaries and locations within the cities. And the main objective of thematic map is to inform decision makers and help them quickly understand spatial patterns. For example, where the wetland areas are located and support better planning and management decision. And the thematic map is built from GIS layers, which are spatial datasets representing different features on the ground. The first one is a geometry. So this defines how features are represented on the map as a point, line, polygons, or raster grid. And in this map, for example, the wetland areas are shown as the polygon, while the word boundaries are also represented as the polygon features. The other one is an attribute, which are information attached to each feature. And these are the data we want to visualize. And in our case, the attribute could indicate whether an area is classified as a proposed wetland or a part of the world boundaries. And the legend show how the data is translated into colors or symbols. And here you can see how the blue color represent the proposed wetland areas, while the other boundaries are shown in differently. So a thematic map combines geometry, attributes, and this symbology to transform the raw spatial data into meaningful and understandable information. Now that we understand what is a thematic map is, And how it represents data, let's look at a real world example. And in this case, I will focus on rockfall hazard in Wanzawad and see how thematic map helping us understanding and assess risk. So this is a thematic map showing rockfall risk mapping in Wanzawad. And it is also showing the rockfall hazard and household exposed in Wanzawad. So just like we discussed earlier, this map combines three key elements: the geometry, attributes, and legend. Here we see the red triangles. These represents the rockfall location, and these are the hazard sources. And the colored zone shows different risk level based on distance from those hazard points. The red one, the orange, and the yellow. The red one is a high risk, and the yellow is a medium risk, and the low as the zone with the lowest risk. So the dots here represent the household that have been affected by rockfall. So the theme of this map is risk distribution, specifically how rockfall hazard affect household spatially. So this kind of a map help decision makers quickly identify which areas are most dangerous, which household are at risk, and where the interventions should be prioritized. So this is a good example of how a thematic map transforms raw spatial data into meaningful decision support information, since this map shows the rockfall hazards and the risk zone by combining hazard location with the household affected data. So we can identify which areas are most risk and support better planning decision. So now, to create a thematic map from raw data to a final published thematic map, we first start by add the data sets available in the CRD. Next, we save the map by giving it a clear name and a description of that map, styling the layers, which is the key step. And this is where we apply symbology and the classification to reveal spatial patterns and make the data meaningful through visualization. After that, we edit metadata, documenting the map to ensure transparency, clarity, and reuse. And finally, we review, approve, and publish the map so it can be shared and used to support decision making. So far, I have introduced the climate risk database, the CRD, and thematic maps and its key features. So now I'm moving into a practical example. And in this part, I will show you step by step how to create thematic map using CRD. Can you see my screen, the browser?
Yes, we can.
Yes. So in your browser, you have to open CRD by typing the crd.resilienceacademy.ca.tz. And then when the CRD is open, log in with your credential if you have an account. Otherwise, create an account first. And then from your page, select maps from the top menu, and then select new. And here is where we can start our to create our thematic map. And as we said, the first step is to add the dataset. Therefore, we have to select Add Dataset from the menu, and the panel on the right side will appear where you may either scroll to search for the datasets or type the name of your dataset in the search box. But before adding your dataset, you already have your thematic map in mind and have planned which dataset you are going to use. And in our case, we will create an integrated sewerage and drainage infrastructure planning map for Mwanza City. And then we will use 3 datasets: Mwanza ward boundaries, Mwanza proposed sewerage transfer station, and Mwanza proposed drainage network. Therefore, we will add the dataset by typing their names into the search box. So let's start to search for the Mwanza ward boundaries. Here, you see 2 identical datasets, but this one has not yet been approved and is not published. So if you are not a manager, don't worry, you will not see unpublished dataset. Therefore, I will select the published one. Now you can see the dataset already added in our working area. Then type this, I will type the second dataset, which is Mwanza proposed, sorry, sewerage transfer station. This is the dataset. I will select it, and the dataset have been added. As you see, there are some points here. And then the last dataset that we are going to use is Mwanza proposed drainage network. And this is the datasets. Yeah, so I have already added all 3 datasets. So now our dataset have been already added, as we see here, and we may check them by select the layers icon in the right side. This is the layer icon. So when we select it, we expand the layer panels, and here we can see our layers. Although our layers are loaded here, but we are not able to edit them unless we have to save our map. And this is the second step. As we said, we have to save our map. And in order to save our map, we have to select resource from the top menu and then select Save As. Here, we have to add the map title. As I said, our map is integrated sewerage and drainage infrastructure planning map for Mwanza City. In infrastructure for Mwanza City. So you may also fill in the map description if you have it at that time. Otherwise, let's just add the title, and that's enough. And then we have to save our map. So after saving our map, the next step is styling our layers for this map. Again, click the layers icon to expand the panel. And then these are our maps, our layers. And here we have the edit data set style. So as now we can edit our layers. But the first step before starting styling our layers, let us organize our layers in a logical order by set the polygons at the bottom. Now we have Mwanza boundaries at the bottom already, the lines in the middle, and the points on the top. So we have to drag the first layer, which is the line layer, to the middle. Yeah, so just to drag the layers so as we can organize our layers in a logical order. Then after organizing our layer, the second step is to apply appropriate symbology to our layers. So let us start with the word boundaries, and let's untick these two layers and select our layer that we want to style it. So after selecting it, click on Edit Dataset Style. Here, you will see the style of the datasets that have been applied for the datasets. So now we may delete these dataset styles and styling according to our map requirements or our map design. So let's delete the dataset style first, and then maybe we can just live with this one. And then let us start to styling by select the, for example, light gray as a fill color and outline, for example, a black one. And then let's adjust the transparency for clarity. As we see, we have the OpenStreetMap as the background, so maybe we can adjust the transparencies to see the details of the OpenStreetMap, and then set the outline width, for example, 0.1. And then if we are okay with this, we may add, for example, the labels, the label of the word, for example. We have the word boundaries here. So maybe we can add the label of the boundary. And to do that, we have to select, to add the text rule. And from this text rule, we can select the label here, for example, word name. And the word name will appear on our map. And then you can set the font color. For example, you can set this as a black and halo color as a white, for example, it's okay. And then maybe you can reduce the size of the word names or the label of the word name. And then apply your changes to that layer. So now we already style the first layer, but since we have OpenStreetMap background with the labels, and we also add the label of our word, so they may interfere with them. So therefore, we may switch off the OpenStreetMap background then by selecting here, this is the OpenStreetMap, and then just preview not available. So now we can't see the background. Then we have to apply the style to the second layer, and this is the second layer. As I said, it has the styles of the data sets, and we can set according to our map design. For example, we may select a blue color as a stroke color, and then we can select, for example, we can leave this solid line, or maybe we can select a dash line, and then we can set the stroke width for example, 2 or 3, and then it can clearly shown or visualized. And then after that, we may apply the change to the second layer. And after that, let us come to the last layer, which is once a proposed sewerage transfer, and select this layer and select edit dataset slide, dataset style, and then again delete the style of the datasets, and let us, for example, use the red color for the fill color of this sewerage station, transfer station, and a stroke color, for example, let's use white. And yes, and then, for example, let us set 2 or maybe 3 or 2, adjust according to your requirement. And then these other radius, maybe we can increase for more visual clarity and visualize. And then after that, you have to apply the change. Then after applying the change, if you are okay with your map, as you can see here, then you can save the changes of your map. So let us assume our thematic map is ready and we are satisfied with our map. Now, the fourth step is to edit the metadata. And here we have to select edit metadata from edit on the top menu. And as you see, we have 3 categories: basic metadata, location, and licenses, which are mandatories category, and we have the other one, which is optional metadata. So let us start with the first category, the basic metadata. So here we will see the title already exists since we filled it when we saved our map. And then we may fill the abstracts. For example, for our map, we can say, for example, this map illustrates the proposed sewerage transfer stations and drainage network with the city. So this is our abstract. Then after type our abstract, we have to select the date type. So it can be creation or publication or revision. It depends on what we are doing. But for this map, we are creating the map and also we are publishing the map. So it's okay to just leave the publication and the date already set it as now. And then after that, we have to select the category. And for our case, we have to select the drainage infrastructure. And then next step, you have to select the group you belong to. For example, for my case, I'm selecting University of Turku. And then you have to type the keywords, and this helps the user to quickly find the map. And in our case, we have to add, for example, sewerage. Yeah, and then drainage, Mwanza, and for example, infrastructure. Infrastructure. And then now we are done with the first category. To fill the next category, we have to select next, so as we can fill the information of locations and license. So here we may select other language if we don't want English as the language. But for our case, this is the English. English should be our language, and license. Also, you have to apply the license that is that have been used or that is applied to your map. But for our case, we just leave that not specified because we don't have the license that is applied for this map right now. And then we have to add for not applicable as an attribution. And then after that, we have to choose the region. For our case, we have to add Mwanza, United Republic of Tanzania. Then we have to fill the data quality statement. And here for our case, we may add as the data set, the data sets that we used in this map. The data sets have been, for example, quality checked, for example, and considered accurate and reliable for mapping purpose. And then this is the data quality statements. And for the restriction, we have to select restriction from the drop down. And for our case, we have to select formal permission to do something. So you are giving the permission to the other users, for example, the managers, to do something they feel like okay. And then after that, we have to add other constraints. If we have, for example, for our case, we say no other constraints, for example, or other restrictions, and then select next. And here is the optional metadata, which include the first the first one as an edition. And for example, we may add the first edition of the map or second if it is the second version. And for our case, we have to write the first edition since this is our first map. I mean, this is the first map that we are creating for this integration of sewerage stations and a drainage network. And then in case of the DOE, this will be added by the admin in the end. And the purpose, we may write, for example, the purpose of the map is to, let's write, for example, to assist planners and decision, for example, decision makers in assessing infrastructures and identifying services areas and guiding, for example, future urban development, for example, initiatives. Any initiatives. So this, for example, could be our purpose. And then supplemental information. In this case, we may just leave no information provided. And here, for the temporal extent start and the temporal extent end, we just leave it blank for our case because it is not applicable for our map and maintenance frequency. We may select the frequency of maintenance for this data, or for the maps or the data that have been used is not known. And also for the spatial representation type and related resources, we may leave them blank since we don't have the applicable one for our maps. As you see, for example, the spatial representation type here, we have a grid data, 3 dimension, and these are not applicable for our map. And the last two ones, you will see your username appeared as the point of contact and the owner of the map. And then you will have to select the update. And this is the end of your fourth step, editing the metadata. Again, to view the metadata for verification, you can just go to view and view metadata to verify your view. Okay, so now we can see identification image didn't take the style that we have been applied. Therefore, to do this one, go back to the maps, and then this is our map integrated sewage and drainage. View your map here and select view and then view information. And from this one, select click to set the map as an image and then apply. So now when you go back to view metadata, you will see the change have been already applied to your image. So, and this is the end of the fourth step. And the last step is to approve and publish our map. Again, we have to select our map. And let's make this clear, as this process is performed by the CRD managers. So if you are the one, just go to the edit metadata, and then from here, just select the setting, and the manager, after approving the metadata and everything, he just tick the approved and is published and then updates the map. So now our map have been already published and created, published, and shared with other users so everyone can see this. And if you are not the manager, so don't worry, just notify the CRD manager about it, and he or she will do it for you. So this is our map, the thematic map, as I said. And if, for example, if you want to use this map for presentation or documentation, you may print this map by following the following steps. For example, here on the right side, you will, the right panel, you just create a print. And here you may add your name of the map, for example, integrated sewerage and drainage, for example, drainage infrastructure, planning, for example, planning map for Mwanza City. So you may add a description if you want, but the format is just the PDF for now. And then you can select either this EPSG or this one, and then add the grid if you want. If you don't want, just leave as it is. And then set the layout by selecting the sheet size. For example, you may select A4. And then if you want to include the legend, just select this one, and then select, for example, the landscape, and print your map. And this is the map that you can use for the presentation or the documentation. And then this is the final map, and you may download it for later use. So thank you. I hope this session has been helpful in showing you how to create thematic maps step by step. So I will now hand over to Nora to take us through the questions and the discussion. Thank you.
Thank you, Khairiya. So far, I don't see any questions. Um, I'm not sure if people have found there's the Q&A tool, and the chat should also be available to you. So please let us know if there's any questions. All right, there's one question that I see from Queen. How do I zoom and change the map placement?
Okay. You have this a button. So zoom. So you are just zoom in and zoom out, and then just for example, use the, okay, I mean, yeah. So this is how we can zoom in, out and zoom in. You can just use your uh, cursor to do that, or using these buttons. And also, if you want, for example, like this is our our map that we want to print. For example, if we want to zoom, you can see it in the map panel here. And when we zoom out, and for example, if we want to move it from elsewhere, which side you want to move it, you can just hold, your map and drag it and put whatever you want to do. For example, here, when you want, for example, to include the legend on the district page, and then you can create this one, and then maybe you can move your map a bit. You can do that. Yeah, you. And then when you print it, you can see your map here. And if you are not satisfied with it, um, just go back to zoom out, and then you can see it. Yeah, so it is possible to zoom in and zoom out, and also to move the position or to place your map. I hope I answered the question.
I think so, yes. At least there's a thank you.
Yeah.
Is there any other questions? There's at least a comment about the recording. Yes, so the recording and the PowerPoint presentation will be sent to you after the webinar.
Yeah.
Is there any other questions about the thematic maps that you would like to ask? If there is no questions, then on behalf of the Resilience Academy team, we would like to thank you for participating in today's webinar and wish you a very nice day.